Greetings, YouTube. So I saw something the other day. It was a tweet, I think, and it was about the basic concept of why are you fact checking our guy but not Harris? And it didn't seem to occur to them that you need to fact check the person that lies more. Now, I'm not saying everything Harris has ever said is the truth. It's often massaged in a favorable way, not uncommon for a politician to do, but Harris does not directly, overtly lie. For example, say things like they're aborting children that are 8 months old, or Haitians are stealing your pets to eat them. Yeah, she doesn't say shit like that. And when someone does say shit like that, you should fact check them. A lot. Often. And hard. But you see, because the shit given is incapable of saying even his own name with sincerity, it is required to fact check everything that spews out of his mouth like the endless font of shit that is his lips. And so that's why we are checking your guy more than we're checking Harris or many other Democratic politicians. Not saying they don't lie, they do, they're politicians. But they don't tend to say things about 8-month-old 8-month-old babies being murdered because someone wanted after an abortion after the fact, which doesn't happen, or that Haitians really aren't stealing your pets to eat them. That's just a form of overt, blatant racism, and very similar to the kind of shit the Nazis did. Yes, folks, they are taking all of the plays from the handbook laid down by the Nazis. They aren't even being originalist fascists. They aren't even being particularly creative white nationalists. They're just regurgitating the same shit that was spewed back in the 1930s with a slightly different spin, because now they're not just saying, oh, it's the Jews. No, now they're saying it's immigrants, specifically in this case, Haitians. They also ignore the fact that people who are here that are undocumented are far less likely to commit crimes than those who were born here. White people that are born here. And that undocumented immigrants actually pay taxes into our system and do not in fact take money out of our system because they're not eligible for those programs, because they're undocumented. And they want to stay under the radar so they can stay here as opposed to being at home because they came here for a reason. So they're not more criminally active than white folks that were born here. They're not a tax burden on our society. Red states take more money out of our collective coffers than blue states do. Blue states pay into those coffers. Red states takes money out of them. Red states also have incredibly high infant mortality rates, high levels of child poverty. There are high levels of murder, high levels of poverty. Red states are the worst states we have because they are red states, because they have put Republicans in charge of them for decades. And the Republicans have done everything in their power to suck the dicks of billionaires and fuck over everyone else. And yet, the Republican constituency keeps voting for those same politicians, even though they have literally turned their states into hellholes. They just keep doing it. Why? Because those Republicans hate the same people that they do. They hate the same people, and they're willing to buy the bullshit that there are groups out there in America killing 8-month-old babies, and there are groups out there that are stealing people's pets to eat them, because that feeds into their own particular twisted ideology. It feeds their own narrative. It agrees with their own hate. So as long as the Republicans are willing to throw moral and ethical, bankruptcy into the wind and to say, we'll do and say anything that you need us to do and say, so long as you don't get in our way of giving the entire world to billionaires, keep voting for us. And so as long as they keep saying and doing The hateful things that the constituency wants done, the constituency keeps voting for them. The Republican Party is the party of hate. And that's why we have to keep fact checking your guy, because he's a hateful bigot. He's a white nationalist. He was raised by a goddamn Klansman. He was so racist, the Nixon administration sued him for racism. I need you to really stop and think about that statement. How racist you have to be for the Nixon administration to sue you for racism. It's one of the most astounding facts I've ever encountered in my entire life. So yes, we need to keep fact checking the shit given until he draws his last breath, which I'm hoping will be when he is in a prison cell.